Around the world and across Ghana's 16 regions, this is the AM show, and this section is the news review segment. And my guest joining me in the studio this morning, Dr. Dixon Adumaku-Kisi. He's Member of Parliament for Anya Sotu. And I also have James Kofi Annan. He's NDC, the 2024 NDC Parliamentary candidate for Efutu constituency. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, so like we usually do, we give our guests 2 minutes at least to walk us through any topical issue they want to reflect on. I want to start with you, Dr. Adumaku-Kisi. What will be your 2 minutes take for us this morning?
Well, let me take the opportunity and say hello to all your viewers. You know, you guys have a very wide viewership.
Yeah.
Today being my last day of official duty as a parliamentarian, I want to use this opportunity to thank everybody who's contributed to this success. And I also sincerely want to appreciate my parents for their support, my entire family, children, wife, and everybody who has been an enormous support in this journey. And let me also thank the party, the MPP fraternity, which has been tough and now literally a family as well. And let me also, as I close, say a big thank you to Ghana for this opportunity to be able to serve. Many are called, but few are chosen. And as it stands, many were very excited about serving in the 8th Parliament, but not all of us made it. And I'm very thankful and looking forward to a brighter, future. I don't think I'm done with politics. Looking at the likes of Osafo Mafu, who are still doing politics,
right.
I think I'll be in politics for the long haul. And I'm praying that as this chapter closes, a new fantastic chapter also begins. But certainly, I believe in vacationing, so I think
a break.
I will have to take a very nice short break or interlude. And then come back renewed and ready to communicate for the party.
I do want to ask if you think that your people overpromised you and underdelivered, or if you just got what you worked for, the inputs, the outputs you got in terms of losing that seat. Is it at par with the work that you did in that constituency? Well,
for me, let me say that we maintained our seat. I didn't go beyond primaries.
Okay.
But let me also say that I think politics, the right people don't always necessarily win.
Okay.
And that is by virtue of the nature of the things that go into politics. And there are many instances I can make varied comparisons, and I can almost state that many factors go into the outcome of who becomes the member of parliament or who becomes president. And even in many jurisdictions where there's a clear disparity in competence, you can still have the people choosing for a different reason who they want to do business with. But I take a lot of inspiration from this man who just passed on, Jimmy Carter. I think he was a one-time president. And he's known more for his work after his presidency in terms of how he impacted many lives across the globe. And I think that either one term or two term, what you do beyond your tenure also really matters.
Okay. We'll be looking out for you. Mr. Annan.
Yes.
What about you? What would be your 2 minutes take for us, first of all?
Well, thank you. Yesterday, the NDC in the Efutu constituency embarked on a thank you float, which was very massive and successful. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all our constituents for coming out in their massive numbers to demonstrate the victory that our presidential candidate chalked. And also still expressing their support for me even though I did not get the seat. It was something that is so special. Yesterday was very inspirational for me. I realized that people truly, truly love me. Just that I didn't get to win the seat, and they wish I had done that. So I'd like to thank them and thank everyone who came out to vote for me and express its support for me. I also want to thank the flag bearer for all the support that he has given me so far.
President-elect.
Yes, President-elect. Thank you. You see, it's a constituency that has been a very difficult one for the NDC. It has been so for obvious reasons. Most of you know the reasons why it has been so. And but for the support of the president-elects in the past, I don't think I would have been able to get to where I have gotten to. Right. So I'd like to thank him for that and to say that congratulations to all the 187 or so parliamentary candidates who won their seats in the NDC. This is a super majority. In fact, it's a 24-hour economy where half of our MPs can go to sleep and still have majority in parliament. So I'd like to congratulate all of them and to say that we should all exercise patience with our president-elect. It's not going to be an easy task for him choosing who must be in government. For me, I believe that in fairness, those who have won their seat must have the advantage. Okay. So we should all be exercising patience and be praying for him for what he's going to do in the next 4 years.
Are you going to contest again in the next 4 years?
It's too early for me to say. And I have to do a lot of reflections and then also look at, I mean, for me, one thing
you're also
is
taking
clear.
A break like Dr.
I'm not taking a break necessarily, but one thing for sure is that I will use the experiences I've gathered in politics to help reform the electoral system. That one is for sure. I believe there's a lot of things wrong with our electoral processes, with the Electoral Commission, with the contestants in the constituencies, and even with supporters. I think that we must all apply our experiences in reforming the system to make it less acrimonious and to make it fair and to remove, I mean, I wouldn't say totally remove monetization, but at least to minimize the extent of monetization in our politics. Okay, great. But that's one I'm going to do for sure.
Well, we are looking out for both of you, and I wish you the very best. Let's get into the proper review now. We don't have newspapers, but let's start from enjoyonline.com. And Ghana's 8th Parliament dissolves today to make way for the 9th Parliament. Dr. Adumaku is part of that 8th Parliament, will be exiting today. But what's interesting about that is the president-elect's mandate on the NDC MPs to retain Alban Bagbin as Speaker for the 9th Parliament. It has never been done before, and I stand corrected. I know that the very first Speaker of Parliament we had did the first and second term, but in this Fourth Republic, have we ever had a Speaker maintained in another term? It hasn't been done before. But what are your reflections on that? I've seen some commentary coming in from CDD's, I think, Executive Director, Professor Kwesi Prempeh, and he has issues about Mahama's approach to endorsing Bagbin. But I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, I would have been surprised if the president didn't have a preference. You know, as an experienced politician as he is, he definitely has a preference. And as I said in my previous commentary, the sheer numbers of the NDC MPs makes it quite complex when somebody who is interested in becoming a speaker has to lobby to be nominated. So, and that is where leadership counts. So the president basically came out to exert leadership. Okay. You know, he not necessarily nominated, he just expressed his views that under the circumstances and knowing the experiences that we've had in the past, the person of the present speaker being retained is the way to go. And I support the president's views on who must be nominated to become the speaker.
Okay.
You see, quite apart from the fact that...
And yeah, I just wanted to get context on what this man was saying, the executive director for CDD. And so just to add to your submission, he said, of course, it's expected that the president as head of government would have a strong interest, blah, blah, blah. In particular, whereas the incoming parliament, the president's party also controls an overwhelming majority seats. And therefore, there is nothing wrong with the president publicly expressing and indicating his preference for the Speaker of Parliament. While some may argue that it is biased or unconstitutional for the incoming president to openly endorse a candidate for Speaker, he disagreed. That is just, it's apt.
What is
so exactly, not so different from what you
exactly, what exactly is wrong? He has not broken any law.
Okay.
And what he has done, he has not gone to Parliament to nominate the Speaker. All that he has done is to express his views. I have heard some, you know, making comments on the choice of word, mandated the parliamentarians to nominate. I think it's just a semantic, it's just a choice of words. I think what the president basically did was to say that, look, given the chance, I would go for this person. And everyone would want to you know, work with somebody that, you know, is convenient for him to work with. So, and you know, the Speaker has done well. Yeah,
that's what I want to throw to Dr. Adumakuki, in fact, to get your assessment of the work the Speaker has done in the 8th Parliament and whether or not you agree with the President-elect's mandate to the NDC MPs. What do you make of it?
Well, Donald Trump also expressed his preference or his support for the current U.S. Speaker. So I wouldn't say it is necessarily out of line. The American democracy is 400 plus years. And for whatever reason, the presidential candidate or elect should also be able to make a recommendation as to who he would love to do business with, not necessarily you know, his choice. Now, one key thing which I think ought to be looked at in the future is the fact that parliamentarians should be able to make a determination of who their choices or preferences are with regards to who is nominated. Because I believe that over the 4-year period, you are more likely to know the pluses and minuses of your Speaker or some of your colleagues who would be appropriate. I mean, I know the likes of Haruna Idrisu could have also been a Speaker.
Yeah.
I know Muntaka could also, I mean, Ayariga, I mean, all of these people, even Ayini, I mean, you know, they are very powerful men within the NDC.
Who are experienced in terms of parliamentary affairs.
Who have the experience. So I think, and I'm talking for the body of parliamentarians, that moving forward, I think that some level of attention should be given to what the parliamentarians think with regards to who they'll be doing business with, you know, because you are literally, the Speaker is like the chairperson for the MPs. So if you are making a recommendation for the chairperson for the MPs, then they should have a say. Now, I would stretch this also to minority leadership and majority leadership. And I, though I'm not with the 9th Parliament, I'm of the opinion moving forward that based on the current standing orders that we have, a lot more leverage or a lot more dividend should be given to parliamentarians to be able to make a choice as to who their leader would be, and I think, or their leaders will be, and I think that would also be able to bring up, you know, those who are very competent to the fore, without coloration of regional selection or party favorite, or as somebody would say, godfatherism, you know. So I think that very critical, if not for the 9th, but the 10th Parliament, is the work that has to go into hopefully addressing the constitution of the MPP or the NDC to make the members of parliament be more responsible for choosing their leaders.
Okay.
And as it is, also making a choice with regards to their chairperson or the speaker.
So, for example, the new
Parliament.
entrants should be able to elect who they want to be Speaker of Parliament. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they would elect.
Yeah.
There'll be a voting.
Yes, but
as it is, I mean, on the NDC side, as it stands now, there's been one nomination. Based on our numbers, it wouldn't be politically strategic to nominate somebody from the MPP. I mean, when we had 137, it was a risk the NDC took to bring
Alban.
Sumani. But it was a good risk because the numbers could be influenced, which was influenced.
I want to bring you back to the Speaker for the sake of time. You've been in Parliament with him. On the scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Alban Bagbin in terms of how well he steered the affairs of Parliament, the 8th Parliament?
I would say that Bagbin worked hard, unfortunately for the NDC.
Unfortunately for the NDC.
And I'll say that because I would have hoped that a speaker would be very colorless in terms of his decision-making. And what I mean colorless, like absolute vodka, is that his decisions should not have been tainted by one party. And he leaned, and it's not his fault.
He did.
It is not the speaker's fault. He's been NDC all along, and once he sat in the chair, he leaned towards strategies that were very favorable to the NDC. And let me cite.
I know Mr. Annan disagrees with you.
Well, I mean, everybody is of their opinion, but let me cite one for example. How he managed to stampede and delay the e-levy. That was one example. And look at how it got us into fist fighting even. The other one I can now even state is how he strategically delayed us doing the budget for the next 3 months. I mean, when we would go, we had recalls that didn't didn't bear fruit because, they wanted to, at that point, delay the tax exemptions, not make sure that the free SHS bill is passed. I mean, listen, it was masterly.
So it was because
it was masterly.
MPs ran to the court for interpretation on matters that where the Parliament was actually supposed to exercise discretion.
What the Speaker did was masterly, and I take my hats off for him. And I'm saying that I would have wished, but it didn't happen. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride.
So give me a number.
But as it stands, I think in doing the bidding of the NDC, I'll give him 120%.
Wow, in doing the bidding of the NDC?
I'll give him 120%. But as to his unbiasedness, there were days when I would give him, father, oh father. He had his moments that he was fair-handed, but I must.
So give me a number. Let's move on from this. Give me a number.
Oh,
as Speaker of Parliament, I know what you've said.
Based on his experience and based on his knowledge, in terms of his ability to work as a speaker, undoubtedly, as it stands, nobody can take that from him. But the party coloration, there are days he puts on the NDC cap, and those were unfortunate days. I'm unable to put a number to it.
All right. Dr. Mr. Annan,
yes.
I know you have a lot to say.
Yeah, you see, I have a number of, in some parts I agree with my brother in some of the comments that he's made, but in the majority of what he has said, I disagree. Let me start with the Speaker's responsibility. What is Parliament there to do? Parliament is there as an oversight of the executive, more or less, to pass law.
Yes, pass laws, primarily to pass
and to hold government to account.
In terms of the checks and balances that needs to be in order for that. But okay.
So there's a primary responsibility of that House So when you're a government, you want tax exemption, you want to pass e-levy, and those who are supposed to hold you in check says that no, hold a minute, this is not right. Obviously, you're not going to be happy because it's not going to go in your favor. So in that case...
Yes, that's an argument you can make.
Yes, but in that case...
The NDC can make.
Exactly, but see, what is the opposition there to do in any way?
Okay.
You understand? So in that case, you are going to give him 120% for being NDC. But
right.
He was just doing his work as somebody who must say, look, maybe you have not addressed your mind to this or that. E-levy, for instance. We were in this country when we were told that e-levy was going to solve all of our problems. Now, did e-levy solve all of our problems?
Solve some.
It solved some, and not even what percentage. It was after the passage of e-levy that we rather lost the economy. So it means that the speaker was right when he said that what you are doing is not necessarily going to be the panacea for the problems that confront this country. In the same way, I mean, when you are talking about tax exemptions, you are talking about an economy that was breaking down, that was collapsing. You need taxes. You need the money to run the economy. And yet, you are giving over $100 million in exemptions.
Okay.
Anyone who is a parliamentarian would ask questions.
You have to move on
but you know, I wish you had given me 1 or 2 more minutes. My brother was talking about how the speakers of parliament must be selected. If you look at it critically, the president is selected more or less by his party. Mm-hmm. If you look at it critically, the Chief Justice is nominated by the president. Even the EC, who is supposed to be a neutral arbiter of our election, is nominated by the president. So if a president has a say in the nomination of a speaker, that, for me, there must be even a law that mandates the president to nominate somebody for the speaker position. Okay. So that it addresses all aspects of our governance in how the president gets involved. Okay, in the nomination
I have to interject at this point, so we move on to other stories.
I know.
Let's still on our democratic dispensation. So the Electoral Commission on Sunday declared, I don't know if we call it a recollation or conclusion of collation, because it looks like from what happened, they didn't have to recollate, in fact. They just had to complete the disputed polling stations that were not actually collated. And now it turns out that the NPP parliamentary candidates were declared winners, where the NDC, they're unhappy with that. I know you know the stories, and I want to take your quick thoughts.
I would want to change your submission on that, because Domi Kwabenya went to NDC after further review. Well,
that was when we had 9 disputed constituencies. Well, I'm down to the 4 that went to the High Court, where the ruling was that the EC should complete collation.
And North has not been called.
That's the only one left. Yes. Yeah. So we have 3 NPP members of parliament elect as declared by the EC.
Tema Central.
Yes, Okankwe Central. And is it Techiman? Techiman South, yes.
But you know,
so
let me take a quick
the NDC were very, very confident that they had won these seats. But now we are seeing something entirely different.
And we are upset.
Why are you upset?
You see, what has happened is like a woman whose boyfriend or husband has lived in America or Europe for a while and misses him so much. And then all of a sudden he heard the news that the husband or the boyfriend was coming home. You see how you be enthusiastically polishing yourself and dressing just to meet your husband or your boyfriend because he's been away for a while. That's what the Electoral Commission has done. The Electoral Commission was expecting that.
I don't get the analogy.
But it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, you see, the Electoral Commission has been so eager to declare those seats for the MPP.
Numbers don't lie, do they? I guess, bottom line, numbers don't lie, do they?
The numbers don't lie. But let me come.
Now, the numbers prove that these NPP MPs actually won the election in those constituencies.
Yes, I don't want to believe
Could it be that that was
acting
why
like how the Electoral Commission was excited about the coming home of the husband?
That is why the NDC were fighting so hard, because they thought they might just not win those seats.
Our elections are governed by law. The CI 127.
We just don't want a situation.
Hold on.
Kofi Annan.
Yes. Hold on.
We don't want a situation where,
after
counting 3 polling stations, somebody just declares.
I get you.
We don't want that.
I get you.
And if you've won, you've won.
This election,
have a problem of,
this election was governed by the CI 127, right? The CI lays down clearly what to be done when you are aggrieved by a declaration. So it is not somebody's conjecture that because they think that there was incomplete coalition, therefore go and do things that way.
Not somebody.
There's a declaration. But whether that declaration was right or not, there was a declaration. And the law says that whenever there's a declaration, if you want to, my brother, if you want to challenge that declaration, go by petition. After
so you're
that
arguing
result,
procedural inconsistency?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Follow the procedure.
I mean, after the issue has been to court, the Supreme Court even had to intervene and, you know.
We would all have to look at the law. If we want to change the law, then I will agree with you.
Okay.
So that one day somebody will not come from behind and say, I've declared somebody a parliamentarian. That's when I agree. But under the face of the law right now, once there is a certain declaration, you can overturn that declaration through that process.
Was that declaration, the one that was done first, without completely collating all the polling station results, was that declaration correct? Was it proper? In terms of arguing your procedural breaches,
you and I were not there.
Yeah, but there were so many polling station results that were not included in that declaration, which rendered the declaration
I think they should
incorrect.
They should post their collated
the whole issue is
the NDC should post.
You may be right, I may be right. How do we know? If somebody comes and say, this gentleman has slapped me, he tells you and I that this gentleman has slapped this person.
Okay, Mr. Kofi Annan,
you were not there, I was not there. How would you know that the person indeed slapped the other person?
That is why we have
papers.
That is why we have papers.
That is why the law will say that when somebody reports to you that I have been slapped, take that person through this process.
All right, please hold.
So the question is whether that person was taken through that process.
Point made. Procedural inconsistency.
Exactly. But we can all agree to change the law.
I think that what is different here is that the Electoral Commission administratively realized that collation was not complete. And by so doing, ensured that collation is complete so that the call is made. The last election, the NDC had problems with the EC calling the shots before full collation was done. So I think they should have rather been even in support of ensuring that the EC does complete collation. They are rather amiss. What they are showing is that when it is in their favor, they want you to not complete collation. When it is not in their favor, they want you to complete collation. I mean, that is neither here nor there. So I think that administratively, the Electoral Commission has every right to correct a wrong that is so obvious. And when they make the call, then and gazette it, if you have issues, then you go to court. I mean, and my key thing is that right from the beginning, the NDC officially has not been able to put out any collation that is in disparity of what the EC has brought. When it favored them at Domin Kwabena, I think they were mute. They agreed. As I've learned, even one of the places, Obuasi East, the NDC strategically has informed their candidate that we cannot go with you because what is very clear is that we did premature ejaculation or premature declaration of your win. And when they did sober reflection and double-checked their numbers. It was so clear and glaring. And I think it's very painful to think you've won when you've not won. I agree with you. And it's the same thing we keep saying that data don't lie. And as it stands now, whether you're emotional about it, whether you are grieving about it, MPP got below 40%. We are crying too. I mean, but as it is what it is.
Well,
38.2%.
They're below 40.
I said below 40. I mean,
no, I just want to be specific.
So as it stands
right.
now, I mean, I think that the right thing has been done by the Electoral Commission, and the numbers, you see, every vote counts. And this message should go out to the people for them to then believe that, yes, truly, their votes matter. It can't be that we've all voted and some votes are not collated. When SAL issue happened, the NDC was up on everybody's neck about it. And this time, the Electoral Commission is ensuring that every vote is counted. And I think we can't trouble them for that. Now, whether you go to court or not, as it stands now, the actual collation has been done in the open space, public for everybody to see, and there's no way Okankwe Central numbers could have changed unless you have a different number. If the NDC has a different collated number from what the EC has brought, they should bring it out and say that, hey, you know, in actuality, Ghanaian public, look, this is what we saw at Okankwe Central, and what the AC is churning out is different. The argument so far has not been that the numbers are in error, but the argument is that it's been illegal. Declared, and why go and double check it?
Right.
And I think that is even more shadier. So I want to hear the NDC come out and say that, listen, these are collated figures at Dome Kwamenya. The EC says NDC won, but it is wrong. I'm waiting to see a party that will tell the EC that you claim we won, but you are wrong. Okay. And these are numbers.
Actually, we'll get more surgical with this in our big story.
Yes, I know. I'm happy with Honorable the angle is coming from. That, you know, sometimes we just all have to be consistent. Just like, you know, 4 years ago, when they had an MP who went independent, you see the way they quickly took him off their party. And then 4 years later, when another thing happened, they went back. So principle is very important. Right. And as he, an honorable person who has enacted law in Parliament, for me to follow, I expect that we would all begin to be principled about the stance we take each time an issue has come up.
We do have to be wrapping up, but I want to leave with this story, and you can add it to your final submission for me. So, Dr. Addison, the governor of Bank of Ghana, is saying that as long as he remained governor, none of those revoked banking licenses will be reinstated. And this was in an interview with Joy News, I think, on Personality Pro. No. Well, I don't know who he spoke to, but I remember watching the interview on Joy News. And what do you make of it? You can add that to your final submission for me. He says as long as he remains governor, none of those licenses will be reinstated. So
I think it's erroneous for him to make that, because the companies may come in different shape and form. And based on my knowledge of banking, should one sheikh decide to invest in any of those banks and change their capital position or their investment position, you cannot say that you're going to deny them, and especially when the board of directors change and all of these things. So from a bankruptcy standpoint, I think that is not an appropriate statement to make, because, you know, somebody, and if I had billions of dollars, I could buy any of those banks, invest in it, so that our positions have, you know, changed to meet what the current Bank of Ghana requirements are. And if that is done, would you then tell me that because of the name, you will not allow us to get the license? That would not be right. So I think that I love Addison, but this comment is not professional and shouldn't have been said. Well, in his defense, by virtue of the fact that I can cite many bankruptcy banks that were resold or rebranded you know, not necessarily a name change, and were brought back because the directors changed, the amount of capital they have changed. So I think it's an unfortunate thing.
I think the rhetoric is that when the bank grants you a license, they are giving you permission to take people's money and not treat it as a private business. And so those banks, those 347 microfinances and all, they got what was coming to them. That's the rhetoric. That's the understanding I get from what
but my
said.
point is that somebody can now invest in them and invest in enormous amount, which will change their capital position. And by virtue of that, they'll meet all the standards, the current standards that the Bank of Ghana has for microfinances. So if that should happen... So
don't completely close the door on that for them.
I mean, that's my point.
Right.
Yeah, I agree that I think that the comment was a bit more harsh. It feels like he has judged them completely. So on that score, I agree. I've been a banker. I used to work with Barclays Bank for a number of years. And I know, I clearly understand the what went into the decisions on those collapsed banks. You know, as a banker, you are a trustee of people's resources. So once you have been given those resources, you need to, you know, apply it judiciously. You are supposed to maybe invest, get some profit out of it, but not to misuse it.
Right. So,
but I also think that the cleanup could have been done differently. And because of that, whatever we are going to do going forward from today, we have to look at the human factor, the human face to things.
Right.
For instance, people have lost jobs. People's deposits are still locked up. Could we have taken over the banks as a government and made it in such a way that people will not lose jobs and people will not lose their investment? Somebody, a street person, recently made a very fantastic analysis. He says that, why would you use $25 million to collapse a bank that you could have used $8 million to correct? So I believe that we have to look at how do we ensure that those who have lost their jobs would get their jobs back. Those who have lost their deposits will get their monies back. Okay. It's important.
Thank you so much. And that there is James Kofi Annan, 2024 NDC parliamentary candidate for a Futu constituency. And 2020. And 2020, right. Yes. And then Dr. Dickson Adomaku-Kisi, today is his last term in office as parliamentarian, member of parliament for Anya Sotum. And both of you join us for the news review segment. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with us.
Thank you.
Do stay with us because sports comes up next, and after that, we'll get into our big stories. We'll be right back.